Yo, 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 what is going on, IK fam? Oh my gosh. This is going to be a really interesting video because this is all just happening right now and there is still even a lot going on. So, what are we talking about? There was recently, as of recording this video about an hour and a half ago, where we ended up seeing some early rumblings of just this random gift code that was flying around. A lot of you probably know it now as the IK Love. Big heart out to the IK fam. That was being used, right? So you'd go here, you'd type in IK Love, right? You'd enter it in, and you would get, geez, just a lot of at least what I believed was amazing rewards. And I'm actually going to show this to you here. Okay, here we go. So this is what it was. And you can see this as I switch. Bam. This is what you got. So you got 9 Philo Stones, 9 hearts to use a Mysterium. You got, what is it? Sorry, 16, right? 13, which is what? 13, sorry, I can't even do math right now. But 13 60-minute speed ups. It's okay, I'm having a big brain fart. You got 14 medium chest, optional chest, right, which would get you 10k gold if you wanted it. You got a territory teleport and 520 green gems. Just a plethora of rewards that by far are amazing. And so someone found out, and I don't know how it happened, right? I first found out about the code from another Discord server, and they just had posted it as a single one. They're just like, hey, here's a code you can use. And I was like, oh, this is great. Let's go ahead and add this to the code list. And then we saw someone else post saying, hey, you can use it twice. And then maybe within a couple minutes after that, I got word of someone else who said, "Oh, you can actually use it multiple times," but they said it may be on somewhat of an interval. And you can even see right now that Discord is pretty wild right now in general chat. There's a lot of just talk that's going on. Even if we scroll up, you can see some of the early rumblings of, I think, people reporting it. I want to say it was around 2 or so. So we're going to have to go up a lot because there's probably been about 500, 600 messages that have just been posted since that time talking about it. And now it's been patched, right? So, but the interesting thing is that some people have been talking about how the code was bugged, obviously, because you were able to do it back to back. But then more than that, they were saying that you've been able to do this. Some people, at least, are supposedly reporting that you've been able to do this since the 1.4 update that dropped yesterday. So that would mean, from what some people are saying, it's about 34 hours or so that you've been able to do this. But keep in mind, this only started really getting widespread around, oh, hang on, we've gone too far now. Let's scroll down to 2. So again, you've only been able to really do this. Here we go. So I think the first person reported it it's right around here. Here it is. So Purple said, IK Love code is broken, GG. This was at 2:02. I don't think anyone else posted before. I just want to make sure I'm being accurate. Yeah, because 12:52, yeah. I don't think anyone posted it before he did. And then at 2:02, then you start seeing some people saying it's been reported. The Potato said that it's been reported. So again, right? The thing is the majority of people, at least if we're just going off of this at face value, did not know about the code until around this time. Again, I'm sure it did seep, obviously, as I had mentioned already, right? It seeped through some of the inner workings, right, from some servers, maybe some world chats. So we don't know exactly how many, but it didn't blow up, at least on the IK Discord, until a little after 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then you just see it going crazy, right? There's some conversations down here on, some people said that, maybe they got thousands of dollars worth. There was someone, I think it was Rar, who was saying, shout out to Rar, who was saying, Rar, who said something like, and he did quote and say this later in a joking manner, right, that he had got like 10,000, I don't know if he said 10,000 Philosopher's Stones or something like that, but then he just said, he basically said he was trolling. So again, right, who knows really who got what? And this isn't me to obviously call anyone out, it's just showing that obviously there were some people who did know about it, right? The likelihood that even if it was a handful of people or a small group of people that knew about it, right, shortly after the patch was released, is probably a good chance. So who knows, right? How many? Right, and Skylight says some people had to have gotten thousands of dollars worth of it, right, just from exploiting. Because keep in mind, you could just sit there with like a stopwatch and do it every 60 seconds, right, and just keep hitting it for however long. And so again, right, and this kind of gets me to the main point, which is that, right, what do you do from here? Where do you go? What is the appropriate action that you take based on this happening? And this is really where I want to put this question to you, the community. What do you think should happen, right? Now, keep in mind, this is not something that is a player's fault. This is something that really all the accountability comes on the developers. And it's not in a bad or a good way. It's just to say that this is something that can, and obviously did, slip through. I mean, I would imagine that there's a process for doing things, right? You code a new update, you test it, and then you put it out live. And sure, some bugs are going to slip through the cracks. We've seen that happen, right? This is not an uncommon thing to games, right? It's pretty standard, right? It's just all about mitigating how many of those bugs or how big the bugs are when you're releasing a new update. Now, with all of that being said, right, again, my standpoint, and this is just where my opinion comes into play now, and it's funny because Shadow and I were just talking about this a little while ago, is that, I view it as, it is something that is, like, anytime something like this happens, right, it's always on the devs, because, again, they're the ones programming, they're the ones coding. Again, this isn't meant in a bad way, it's just showing that it came from there, right? The code, keep in mind, right, the code prior to the update, if all of this information is accurate as well, was not able to be abused, right? There's never been an abusive code that's been done or been used, at least that I know of or I've seen. I'm pretty sure it would have been blowing up like crazy as it has been in the Gen chat over this code. So with that, it has to be something that obviously happened on that end. But it still begs the question of what do you do at this point, right? Some people have reference to doing a rollback, where the example of this in other games is where you basically go back to a certain point, whether it's 24 hours ago or however amount of time, and you just basically reverse time on everyone's account to roll it back 24 hours to the current status of that player's account, based on the amount of resources they had, the level of their mortals, their power, everything, right? It would just basically be reset to 24 hours ago. Any progress you've made in the past 24 hours, right, would be lost. The challenge here is that you also have to think about people that spend money, right? Would there be an opportunity for people that have spent money? And this is, again, if they did the rollback option, would those people have an opportunity to get a refund on the money that they've spent? Right? And now, it would be so effortless if they just gave you an automatic refund, right? If there was just a way to do that, where if they rolled it back 24 hours, they would just, I don't know, hit up Google or however they do it and just say, hey, look, for the past 24 hours, anyone that spent money, please just give them an automatic refund. That would be ideal, right? If they decided to go that route. The option 2 that I think of could be them obviously banning people, right? Now, that could be anything from them banning people that heavily abused it, all the way down to someone who just used it 2 times or more, which I want to say anyone that knew about it probably at least did it twice or more, at least for the majority, right? And or option 3 would be they don't do anything, and they just come out with an apology, and they, and then they could play it 2 ways, right? They don't do anything, but then they come out with an announcement, and they can go option 1 is the apology, and maybe they do something, right? Maybe they give some form of compensation, or they don't give anything. And that's just because if you give compensation, it could just be looked at, okay, well, now these people are still getting more, right? You can hear arguments for both sides of it. People that didn't get anything would at least be happy because they got something, but then people that abused it, obviously they would just be getting more rewards on top of it, even though it's not the majority of the player base, right? Or you take option B or you take door B, or door number 2 on the third suggestion, on sending an announcement out where maybe you just prop it up to, hey, a code got released. We just wanted to see how fast it would spread. For anyone who was able to take advantage of it, good for you. I don't know how well that would probably be perceived, but again, we're just spitballing, right? I think these three options, as far as some form of an announcement, which would probably be more on the apology side, I think, or you do a ban for from anyone who used it twice or more, or you just do the really high people that extremely abused it, or you do the rollback. I think from a lot of what I've been seeing, people have been mentioning the rollback, and that seems like, at least as far as popular opinion, seems to be something that we have noticed a lot of players specifically posting about. So again, keep in mind it is something that we could see. Who knows what's going to happen? But again, I would love to ask you, the community, the question on what do you think should happen? What do you think is fair? Right? Do you agree with my opinion or disagree on how we feel about, right? It is something that obviously falls onto the devs, but at the same time, it is their decision on how they want to action it and what they want to do to go forward. I think no matter what, it has been an extremely exciting Friday, depending on what day it is for you. For those of you who are a little bit ahead, it's probably Saturday. But still, man, it's been an intense past couple hours from when people started finding out about the code to plugging and using it, and then getting to the point we're at now after the patch, where now people are talking about what's going to happen. And I think no matter what, right, I don't want to say it's a lose-lose situation. I just feel as though, things like these can happen. Things like these can happen, right? We obviously hope they don't. And up until this point, nothing really as big as this has happened, right? There was that sailing bug that some people were taking advantage of, but I mean, the rewards you got from that were still so minimal, right? It was almost non-existent to an extent, right? But they still did a hotfix for it, right? And they didn't ban anyone, right? Nothing happened. But the other thing I'll mention is that for those of you who have been around when there were when they had that bug for the King's Gifts, right? And I'll show you this in game as well. So there was something that happened a while ago. And what they did is there was a bug that came out where you could come here, right, after you got King, after Contention or Relics, and you can go to rewards, and you could basically just keep doing this back to back to back, right? You could give out essentially unlimited rewards over and over again, right? You just had to switch the King position. And so, again, and then I will tell you, right, the people that did abuse that, for the servers that did, right, some of those players did get banned, right, for some of the people that really, really abused it, right, I know a couple people personally that got banned. And, thankfully some of these people were able to get a refund on their money from reports I had received. So again, we'll see exactly what they do, right? I think for anything that's been really abused so far, and the only reference point we have to go off of is when the King's bug or the King's Reward bug was issued. And again, some people got banned. I don't know if it was a hard ban or if it was just for people that were really, really abusing it that ended up getting banned. But they did issue it. So again, we'll see. I think if things line up, maybe it could be a rollback. Maybe it could be a rollback and a ban. Maybe just a rollback again. We'll see. But still, I'd love to hear what any and all of you think. What should happen, right? Where do we go from here that specifically would be the lesser of the two, I don't want to say evils, but lesser of the two situations, right? Because there's really no win-win at this point, right? It's really about mitigation, setting a precedent on how they're going to move forward, right? So what do you think would be the best option to do that going forward? Let me know down in the comments below. Man, that is it for me. Gosh, this video is so wild. And again, we're also going to cover what happens next. If we get any reports on what's going to be happening, right, we will try to be the first ones here to let you all know. Man, that is it for me. I will see y'all later.